You know, one of the reasons why the first film worked was not because it had a lot of Spider-Man in it. It was because the story had a relatively small scale. It focused on Miles' journey of becoming a hero, and the stakes were, they either shut up the super collider or the planet dies. But in Across the Spider-Verse, the stakes are, if they don't stop Miles from saving his dad, the entire multiverse will die. Now that's a huge leap in stakes. I don't know why the writers feel like they gotta raise the stakes in every installment, but it sucks that they think that this is the only way to do a sequel. All the problems I have with this film show up when the movie gets into all the multiverse stuff. First things first, why is Miles considered the original anomaly by Miguel? What this movie tells us is that the spider that bit Miles was from another universe, and that universe's Peter Parker was supposed to be bit by it. But instead, it got transported to Miles' universe and eventually bit him. Now tell me, why is Miles at fault for the spider traveling to another universe and randomly biting him? Wouldn't the spider be the actual anomaly and not him, or fix for building the collider in the first place? The only reason that I can think of is because Miguel needs a reason to hate Miles so we can have an antagonist for the film. Even though we already had one who disappears halfway into the film because they wanted to have this stupid spider gang segment in the film. Miguel's whole Spider Society thing really feels like Sony just wanted to have an entire segment dedicated to cameos. Cause think about it, do they even do anything in the film aside from point at each other? Why are they even in this film? The only thing that writers are doing is ruining dozens of Spider-Man characters. You got Spectacular Spider-Man, who is arguably one of the best Spider-Man in terms of character, but the problem with him is that he sides with Miguel. And in case you forgot, Miguel's whole goal is to force Miles to watch his dad die, essentially forcing him to have an Uncle Ben moment, again. No Spider-Man will force someone to let their dad die. Every single Spider-Man that didn't take Miles' side, their characters are completely ruined now. Not to mention, by doing this, you completely undermine every single Spider-Man story and reduce them to a specific fixed line of events that all of them have to go down on. Just because Uncle Ben's death helped them be better people, doesn't mean that we just willingly let another one die. So Miguel is fixing all the anomalies that Fisk caused with his machine, and the Spot is currently causing. He even recruits Gwen after her father disowned her, which I don't have a problem with. But what I do have a problem with is that he lets Jessica send Gwen to capture Spot, who's in Miles' universe. Why would you let her do this? Why can't you go instead? He is your biggest threat, or you think he is, so he should take the priority. Or what, are you too busy looking at videos of your dead family? You know that Gwen has been dying to see Miles, so why risk sending her and having her potentially losing Spot? We're talking about the end of the multiverse. Fuck her. Speaking of Miguel, his character is stupid. Sometimes. First of all, it's nice that they kept that he doesn't have a spider sense. It further separates him from the other Spider-Man, makes him more distinguished, but his level of intelligence constantly changes based on the scenes he's in. He is supposed to be a genius from 2099 who invented a device that allows people to travel to other universes. He's a genius not by our standards, but by 2099's. Yet when he's chasing Miles and Peter finds him, instead of not saying anything or just going to his location, he has Lila announce to Peter that they're tracking him. Good job. And why would he tell Miles his dad is gonna die? If his goal is truly to keep the multiverse from collapsing, then he shouldn't tell him anything about his dad's fate. This whole things have to go exactly as planned or else the universe is destroyed is bullshit. In the next film they better reveal that the Spot was responsible for destroying Miguel's universe, and not the whole going against canon shit. If Miles being bit by the spider is a non-canon event, then why isn't his universe destroyed in the first film? Or why is Miles saving a police captain worse than Peter Parker dying? Surely Peter Parker's death would have been a bigger damage to the canon than a police captain close to Spider-Man 2.0 dying, right? And why would Miguel recruit someone who's pregnant? And why would she agree? She has you have a child inside of you. She's actively torturing her own child. This isn't empowering, it's fucking insane. Talk about irresponsible parenting. Don't be surprised when your baby comes out looking like the Elephant Man. I just don't get why the writers wanted to make her pregnant. But another irresponsible parent is Peter B. And I ain't talking about the fact that he brought his less than a year daughter with him to the Spider Society's HQ. I understand that he most likely brought her because he thought that she would help convince Miles to let his dad die. But it's still extremely bad they brought her. And why give her web shooters? Plus, even if I were to let that pass, he brings her with him at the end, so... The whole chase scene is visually awesome and it's pretty entertaining. But if you think about what is actually happening on screen, you'll realize that Miles being able to outmaneuver and escape from about 100 or so Spider-Man is impossible. He has been Spider-Man for a little over a year now, and he's running from Spider-Man who have been at this game for way longer than he has. I'm sorry, but Miles is way too open in this entire scene. And some of the multiverse stuff is bad too. Like how now that the Spider-Verse's multiverse is the same as the MCU's multiverse.
Don't even get me started on Doctor Strange and the little nerd back on Earth 1999.
This often Nakama single-handedly ruins both franchises. In MCU the rules are that if you go to another universe and stay there, eventually the entire universe will be destroyed. Except you. But in the Spider-Verse you are the only one that dies. Slowly. This is only a problem if you believe in the whole death of the author thing. In an interview, Ken Powers said that it was just a meta joke and nothing more. So if you believe in it, then this is a non-issue. I personally don't care what the authors say about their work. I think the stories should speak for themselves, so I consider this an issue. But even if you do care what they say, you still can ignore the other problems with the film, like how Ben was just simply disappointing. What an insignificant waste of space and time he was. I can't even imagine how pissed off Ben fans must have been. I know I would have been furious if they did this to my favorite character. How is Gwen even able to do this? How do the portals even supposed to function? In specific scenes when someone is supposed to go into one so that the story can continue, but for whatever reason they can't, it'll just stay open until they do. And in other scenes they can just stand at the end of it. But in other scenes it immediately closes after they went into it, and Miguel can just cut it open before it even opens fully. How do these scenes even supposed to work when we're shown that the portal shoots you out? They really should have ditched the whole Spider Society and just had a couple of different Spider-Man with Miguel. Just have Miles, Miguel, Spot, Peter B, Gwen, Jessica Drew, but don't make her pregnant, and Ben. And this way you have a lot more time to flesh out each new character and have a much smaller story. I don't understand why so many people like Pivitri, but don't like Ray. Pivitri is as much of a Gary Stu as Ray is a Mary Sue. He's been a Spider-Man for 6 months, and he's on the same level as the other Spider-Man, who have been doing this for years. His whole introduction is just a giant flex about how easy his life is, and how much easier being Spider-Man is for him, compared to everyone else. I like his comment on how people when they say chai tea, they're really saying tea. But besides that, he doesn't do or say anything meaningful, so I don't get why he's liked by everyone. And then there's the fact that the India universe only starts collapsing when Miles saves the captain in the universe. Why only then? Was Spot sections that put the captain in the circumstance really supposed to happen? But that wouldn't make much sense. He's not from the universe, and his creation is a product of a different anomaly. So again, shouldn't the spider from universe 42 travel into universe 16 cause everything to collapse? And the fact that an entire universe depends on a person connected to a Spider-Man is just mind-blowing. All the universes are hanging on by a thread. Oh, here's something that surprised me. Insomniac's Peter makes a quick cameo in the film. I was genuinely caught off guard by him appearing, and then I started thinking about it. And before you say it, this is the Insomniac Peter Parker, not someone who just looks like him. I find it weird that he never mentions this experience in his stories. He is a scientist. It would be out of character for him if he didn't talk to somebody about this. Maybe another scientist, like Doc Ock or Miles. I feel like him going to another universe and reading a bunch of cartoons will cause him to nerd out to Miles over this or something. And at what point is he from? Is this Peter from before the first game? Or maybe all of this happened to him when he was away from Manhattan in Spider-Man Miles Morales. Or maybe in between that game and the sequel? I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't care about the multiverse, seeing as how he has been involved in another multiverse story before and didn't talk about it at all. Spider-Punk is also bad. His character has 2 reasons for being in the film, and both of them have problems. One is because his introduction is a setup for a needless love triangle between Gwen, Miles and him. I say his introduction because that's the only time he and Gwen share lines with each other. After that they never talk to each other again. They don't even look at each other again. And his second purpose is to give Gwen a watch so she can go help Miles in the next film. Now, the problem with this is that he shouldn't be able to do this. He was never shown to be smart. From what also little we see of him, you get the idea that his intelligence is that of an average person. He doesn't do anything creative or ingenious. He doesn't say anything clever or insightful. We get no hint at him having a genius level intelligence. So him being able to make his own watch doesn't make any sense. When they start chasing Miles, he quits the group and throws away his watch. Which means he couldn't have reverse engineered the watch. Even if he had a watch, he shouldn't be able to. This is technology leagues ahead of the technology his world has. From what we see, he's from around the same time period we're in. So a watch that allows him to travel to other universes is basically magic to him. His whole character is poorly executed and people still like him. And this is just a small nitpick, but when we see all the Spider-Man's origins, every mainstream live-action Spider-Man is shown, except for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, which I find odd. I'm not sure why they didn't include him holding Aunt May, but whatever. I guess it's about time I talk about the good parts too, just so you don't walk away from this video thinking that I don't like this film. I think it was a great idea to correlate the multiverse drama with characters that we've grown to like since the first film. The multiverse's collapse hinging on the main character doing their job is a neat way to force these characters to re-examine their morals and what they believe to be the right thing, and to create a logical conflict between the protagonist and the antagonist of the story. To have Miles, for example, realize he needs to go his own way instead of falling in line and having the same story as Peter is great for his character. I just don't like how they essentially made Miles go through the same arc he went through in the first film. The only thing different is that he's older now. Gwen finally connecting with people again but not being able to talk to them, while her dad actively tries to take her down, has clearly affected her deeply. So when she's presented with the chance of meeting Miles again, she of course takes it. And when they finally reunite, Miles finds out that she's been lying to him. For the whole film, Gwen constantly had to lie to Miles, and all the guilt from that finally comes out at the end, setting up her arc for the next film. It's nice to see the writers take their time at developing characters' relationships and letting it build naturally as they bond, instead of rushing it. But after all of this build-up, we finally get to the payoff. It's gonna feel deserved and it'll be very impactful. Miguel as an antagonist works greatly, as he's the one that provides us with a view that clashes with the protagonist. He clearly doesn't want to let Jeff die, or anyone for that matter, but after first-hand witnessing what breaking canon can do, he took it upon himself to never let that happen again. He believes he's doing the right thing, and actually saving Miles. In his mind, he's saving Miles from heartbreak, and that's what makes him a great quote-unquote villain. By having the villain be someone who's ideologically opposed to the hero, the story gains a level of moral complexity, which makes the film all the more engaging and exciting to watch. And it also has depth to both characters, and it makes the audience think about the message presented. On one side, you have someone who believes the sacrifice in one life is justified if it means countless other lives are saved. On the other side, you have someone who thinks that being a superhero means that you can save everyone. And the animators really done a good job in this film. The animation is so well done at times, I honestly thought it was mocapped. Other small intricate movements the characters make with not just their facial expressions, but their body language as well. The amount of detail that went into animating every character, adding depth to their personalities, is remarkable. The art style of the different Spider-Man are really cool. The way Spider-Punk is shaded differently based on the lighting surrounding him is a neat detail that I don't think that many people noticed. I like these small details in cartoons, because it shows just how much the people that worked on it cared. It's proof that they're passionate about their work. And most of the time when people care about their work, they end up doing a much better job than if they were just cashing it in. The MCU is a perfect example of this. And I absolutely adore the choreography and the fight scenes. When you're making an animated film, you have so many more ways of showing off your characters as differing personalities. You're not limited to the actors' physical limitations or reality. Gwen swings like a ballet dancer, Miles has a more laid-back style. The way Peter B walks on while in swings shows us that he's a pro, a veteran even. And Miguel? Well, he moves like a tank, not to mention the limitless possibilities in constructing environments that could reflect and enhance a character's personality. And in this film, it's even used to convey a character's emotional state. Like when Gwen in the beginning is talking to her dad about Spider-Woman, and she's in the dark in a close-up shot because she's lonely, but her dad is in a full-body shot and in the light. Or when at the end they're having an argument and the environment is in chaos. Good stuff. Glad they're taking advantage of all the different aspects animated films provide. All in all, the movie is good, just not as good as the first one. The good parts are really good, but it's weighed down by all the stupid shit and the fact that it doesn't have an ending. It just ends. Kinda like this video.